Hi, this is Robyn.
And Alison with Creativity
Deconstructed,
a podcast where we interview entrepreneurs, artisans, and disruptors.
And uncover the secrets behind how these creators turn their ingenuity into profitability. So today we are here with our good friend, Brooke Mahan, a true innovator, a disruptor, and a mom. And we're going to get into all three of those things.
Brooke Mahan is a co-founder of What's Up Moms, ranked the #1 parenting influencer channel in the U.S., and also the creator of Do You Know Me, a party game sold at Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon. Brooke has a passion for finding creative ways to connect with people, which is what led her to be successful in both the YouTube space and now the retail space.
Okay, Brooke, so let's start with What's Up Moms. The channel currently has 2.67 million subscribers and has 1.7 billion channel views. And in 2013, you and two other women launched this incredible information and entertainment channel. It was truly ahead of its time. Can you take us back to the beginning? How did the idea of creating entertainment content online for moms come about, and the idea of turning it into something that could monetize?
That's a good question. It's funny when you say that because we started the channel, just to give you put a perspective on the time, pre-Instagram. So there was no term mom influencer. Our founder, the main founder, Elle Walker, had been doing YouTube in her 20s. She had studied filmmaking at Stanford and had kind of found this niche. There were a million videos on how to put on mascara, a million gaming videos. There were different verticals, but there was nothing in the parenting space. And so when she became pregnant, she reached out to myself and our other partner, Meg. And we just thought, what kind of content would moms want to see? There were a lot of mom blogs at the time, but no one was really creating video content. So it just seemed like a hole in the market. And we thought, I would rather watch a video on how to make a healthy recipe for my kids than read an article. And everyone's different. And so we kind of tried to look at what different categories could be helpful to moms. I was always into being creative and doing art projects. And it was kind of the early days of Pinterest. So I thought a DIY show would be great. And it's funny because in the beginning we wondered, do you think we could get 20 episodes out of this? And I think I ended up with 180 episodes when I left. I mean, some crazy number. So the content's endless. And then we also had cooking and how-to videos. And over time we did product reviews and, incorporated other moms into the schedule.
So I'm curious because I love the idea. I love the story. I can see it. I can see the phone call. But what is that like the first couple of times that you guys sit in a room and you say, what is this? What is What's Up Moms? And how do we take this idea and do we just start making videos? Do we launch a website? How does it go from being an idea to being a reality? What was that process like?
Well, luckily, depending on how you look at it, luckily or not luckily for my children, it's all preserved on YouTube, and you can see our first videos. They were not pretty. Certainly the production quality wasn't there, but we and I think with any idea, this is kind of the key. You just got to jump in and do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes some things are going to work. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're not. We hired a camera guy. Sometimes we would put a camera on a tripod. From the beginning, it was always a business. I know some companies start from it's just a passion or a hobby and it turns into a business. And neither way is right or wrong. But for us, it was very intentional. But we did just start creating content. And I was responsible for my show. So I would research ideas on Pinterest and then practice them during the week. I spent a lot of time at Michael's. And then we would just film it, edit it, and put it up. And you kind of, like you said, can't hesitate. And right away, we had a really good response from other moms and teachers. And it was really, we were in the right place at the right time because it was really unique content for YouTube.
And then just going back to the idea of it was a business, it wasn't just a hobby for you guys. What did that mean in terms of, was there a business plan? Was there a raise? How did money enter into it?
How did you fund it?
So we were really lucky. From the first couple videos, like I said, Elle had had a channel that had some traction before, and she had done some brand deals. So when she let those brands know, I'm going to be doing this mom content, right away, there was nowhere for these brands to advertise online. Like a brand like Huggies, they're not gonna do a commercial before a gaming video or a beauty video. So right away, we had a couple brand deals out the gate. I think our first one was Windex. And And so we were able to use the money from those to fund fund our one employee, our camera guy. And then the rest of it was, we really did everything ourselves in the beginning. And then over time, we ended up having 2 offices, a small studio, 12 full-time employees, a crew that we would hire on bigger shoots. So it did grow pretty quickly.
It's amazing.
So you guys are very, very successful at that point. And what I think is I'm always in such admiration of people who have the ability to take a risk and pivot. And at this point, you've got this successful business. What's the moment where you're like, you know what, I'm a creative person and maybe I want to do something else, or maybe I want to move on, I have other ideas. So can you talk about, you've done this twice, because there must have been a moment when you decided to leave whatever job you were doing before, start What's Up Moms, and then now you have Do You Know Me? And what does that take? I mean, in terms of risk and how do you find the courage and the strength to kind of to do that, to pick up and pivot and go, I'm okay with this, I'm taking a risk?
Well, to even take a step back and starting What's Up Moms in the beginning, and I want to kind of hit on this because I feel like it's such a common denominator between moms, especially who had careers and worked, and then a lot of us stopped working when we had children, and then struggled with that, whether it was just what to do with your time or your identity. So I actually had stopped working, before my son was born, and I was so happy to be a first-time mom, but I also really suffered with that. I felt like I needed to have something else as well, and I think that was a common denominator between all of us, and a big catalyst for starting What's Up Moms was to have something. And we live in a day and age where you don't have to work a 9-to-5 job in an office, because we all wanted to be with our kids too. So it was finding something where we could be present in their lives and work maybe unconventional hours. So that was kind of how that started. And then as far as the pivot, that was a really hard decision. I mean, it had been 5 years in just kind of the day in and day out, certainly being on camera. I mean, at that point we were filming 5 days a week. It's a lot, even just the tedious hair and makeup and being on. And then anytime you have 3 women working together, at that point we had a lot of different avenues to monetize the channel. One thing we hadn't really touched on was product, and that was something that I was really interested in. So it was just, the channel was at a point where it was starting to go beyond just the 3 of us. We had other moms creating other shows that were having a lot of success. And it felt like it was a time that I could step away and kind of take this chance and, do something that had been more of a passion project.
So that brings us to Do You Know Me? And I've played it a bunch of times. It's a very fun game. We've played it with our kids. So I love that about it. You can play it with different ages.
This version, disclaimer, is not for children. Just FYI, this is the over 17 version.
Sorry. But one you can buy in stores, I guess it's not for children. But you can edit it yourself and play it with your kids. Yes. But anyway, it's very fun. Always creates laughter. It brings people together. And I guess we were really hoping you would, maybe for those people who haven't played it yet, explain how the game works, and maybe we should play around.
Should we? I feel like it could be really fun. Robyn and I know Robyn, just a little backstory here, and I don't know Alison as well, and Robyn and Alison are obviously very close, so I think it might be funny to put you on the hot seat.
I will be in the hot seat.
How do you feel about this?
I feel good about it. I love the concept of this game because I'm a big fan of Cards Against Humanity. I feel like your game does something really specific, so it connects people, and it can be an icebreaker for a group of people that don't know each other very well. But if there was 5 or 6 of us that had been friends since we were kids, we're like, well, do you know me? Mm-hmm. Do you know what my drink is? So I think it's a pretty awesome in that way that it spans. You can use it in so many different ways. And girls, I would love to be in the hot seat if we want to play. Let's play.
And I'm very competitive, so I really want to win this.
Well, that's the funniest. I still remember the first time I played with Robyn. It's not necessarily a competitive game. It can be. And it's funny because I don't think of you as a competitive person.
Robyn makes everything competitive.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
She was the winner. Okay, so we're going to go back old school since I didn't actually bring it with me. So this was originally, this game started being just questions in my phone, and it became something that we would do at dinners if we were waiting for the food to come, or as an icebreaker if we were meeting new people. So So it's pretty safe to say that you're a game lover. You love a game night, yeah. It was a big part of my family growing up. We always had one TV in our house. We didn't watch a lot of TV. If we did it as a family, but we played a lot of games all through college. Like my favorite thing to do was like have a game night with my friends. Yeah, I've always loved games.
Awesome.
Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to ask the questions of Allison, but you have to sit poker face. So do not give anything away.
Okay. So I'm going to write them down.
Robyn and I are going to answer them. We'll answer them together.
Yeah,
we're going to just this isn't exactly how the gameplay works, but it'll give you the idea. And don't
cheating.
Give anything. Yeah, no cheating. So you can't say anything. I won't say anything. Okay. First question. Is Allison's Uber rating higher than a 4.7? Okay, we're just going to go. We'll go through and put our yes or no and then go back.
I love the poker face on Allison.
Can Allison name 3 people Taylor Swift has dated?
I hope not.
Did Allison's last text contain an emoji? I feel like you might have some. I feel like you might be on the inside
I need to be able to
track on
comment.
here.
I feel
but don't.
hindered.
You can't. Okay, that's the beauty. Okay, is Allison in the Mile High Club? Am I allowed to ask that?
Is that off limits?
We're just going to go. We're going to go. Okay. We're going to make Allison, we're going to get uncomfortable. We're going to get uncomfortable here. Okay. And can Allison name the president on the $20 bill?
Oh,
all right. Final reveal. Is Allison's Uber rating higher than a 4.7? I said yes. What did you say?
I said no.
Oh.
4.7 is pretty high.
I think it's like a 4.6 something.
Yes. Pulling ahead.
I mean, do I have to explain my answers?
No.
Someone ruined it one night.
No, did you grow up in the back of an Uber?
Europe ruined it, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can Allison name 3 people Taylor Swift has dated?
2. I don't think I can name 3.
I said no.
Yeah.
No. We both said no?
No.
Yeah.
Do you want to go for it?
Who she's dated?
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal. It was a long time ago. No,
let's get deep here.
Wow.
And the DJ, but I couldn't remember his name.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, she dated the DJ, and that's all I know.
Oh, I feel like if you could get that, you could get a third.
I know.
But I kind of don't want you to because
no,
I guess no.
Yeah.
Harry Styles.
Yeah, I don't follow her that.
Okay.
closely.
Okay. Well, and that's the
fan,
interesting question.
yeah.
It's like you'd be surprised at people that can like rattle off 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Allison's last text contain an emoji?
I said no.
I said yes. Oh.
She's not an emoji girl. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not an emoji, but I feel like sometimes it's just easier
just
than actually
happens.
typing
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I have a lot of thumbs up and hearts.
I use them, but definitely not. I haven't used any this morning.
Do thumbs up as a comment count as an emoji now?
Yes. If it's the thumbs up with your skin color,
Yeah.
100%.
No, the one that you just go like this and hold long time.
Oh,
and the
no,
thumb
I
up.
don't think
that doesn't really count as an emoji.
On the iPhone where
don't
you
even
like
know
can
what
hit
that
the
is.
exclamation point, or I don't think that counts.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real emoji. But anyway.
I don't think so.
Yeah, see, I'm
See,
so far
she's
behind.
getting
I don't even know what
competitive.
that is.
She wants to win here.
I have
You're
them
winning
all
by a
right. I'm
landslide, by the way.
100% right now, for the record.
I was going to say, yeah, and I'm 1 for 3, so I think you already have this in the bag. Okay. Is Allison in the Mile High Club?
Yes.
I said yes.
I would hope so. Okay.
Just don't ask me any details about that.
Okay, and moving on. Can Allison name the
that
president on the $20 bill? I said no.
Wait, what did
this one's really tricky.
I said yes.
I think it's a no.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
Jefferson?
No. Jackson.
I don't even know. See?
It's Andrew. I mean, I only know because the game.
It's a question.
Well, it's so fun. I mean, it's the bill like you see so often,
And you never pay
surprisingly,
attention
most
to
people
it.
don't know. Don't get that one right.
That's
so.
because we don't have time
used to
and we don't
know.
have attention span anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this game, honestly, because I feel like oftentimes we're talking and I feel like somebody's listening or not listening, and it's at a cocktail party and you're like, did they hear anything I said? You should have a cocktail party and then play this game and then see if anyone there can like have picked up any information from the cocktail party, because it's such a good, I don't know, I feel like it really allows people to know something about a person that,
Well, you usually, I mean, our takeaway is usually after this, either a specific story comes out and you like really have a memory with that person. It's not that there's anything wrong with small talk. I don't tend to be great at it. You know, we say, everyone, how's your summer? How's your day? How are your kids? And it can get all jumbled up. But I mean, I'm assuming if we weren't on the podcast, we might have gotten a little backstory on like
the Mile High
Club.
For sure. I'm sure the game has a lot of pauses, right? Where you're like, well, actually.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it brings like kind of a new dimension to that, your interaction with that person. And I don't know, it just makes it feel like a little more genuine, a little more personal. It's like, I see you the next time and I'm like,
oh,
exactly.
That's true. You kind of know a secret.
Yeah.
You know a little
kind of
secret.
know a secret.
Yeah.
and I think everybody appreciates being in the hot seat because so often you're not, and it gets to highlight a specific person. And when it's a proven fact that you interview someone and if they've spoken more and answered a lot of the questions, they walk away feeling good and positive about it. So
That's so true.
She likes to
lets
play
you-
it for birthdays. So when it's your birthday, you get to be in the hot seat.
like
And it
that.
is kind of like a fun birthday night feeling. Like, oh, everyone had to think about me and talk about me. And
it is because I feel like certainly I actually hate being the center of attention in a big group. And I'm not one of those people who's saying that. And then they're like, oh, but keep going. I actually don't like it. But and so to me, another part of the reason for this game is when you're in a group of people, to me, the worst thing in the world would be if someone just said like, what's your favorite movie or what's the quality you like most about yourself? Open-ended questions are literally like what my nightmares are made of. And so this was like a really cool way to get to know things about people. And hopefully that didn't make you uncomfortable, but it's like, yes, no questions. You can elaborate or not, but it's you can still get to know someone without anyone feeling put on the spot.
Yeah. And you can get to know your closest friends too.
Yeah.
And things about them that you maybe didn't know, like the Mile High Club.
I mean, we talk to each other every day, but
I always assume that about you.
So earlier you said that when What's Up Mom started, it was a bit of a result of a creative outlet. You needed a creative outlet. So let's fast forward to today and Do You Know Me? How did this idea, you're a lover of games, but how did it start? I mean, it starts on your phone. How do you get this product into that box, into a reality on Amazon? Like how do you do that? 'Cause so many people have ideas and it's always about the execution of an idea. And you seem to have really been able to do that successfully multiple times. So I want you to talk about for a minute how you make something, you take an idea for a business and turn it into a reality like this up on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just like putting one foot in front of the other, not overthinking it, perseverance. You can't worry about that being said, I worry about and overthink all of these things, but you kind of just have to jump in and do it. So, I mean, with most things, there's like a natural progression. I'm sure when you guys started this podcast, it's like you have to do A, B, and C. And so, I mean, it's really as simple as like committing to yourself, I'm going to do this, making a list. And when you wake up every morning, you're just doing it. For me, it was like this game really started as a list of questions in my phone. My husband and I would play it, like I said, at dinners. I would say, this was probably a year or two, but once we started going to school and playing it more often and getting a better reaction each time, people started asking, send me a list for so-and-so's birthday. Will you just send me a list of 20 questions and I'm going to pick them, or I'm having a dinner, I have this or that. And once that happened, paired with, feeling like I was maybe ready to transition on from What's Up Moms and try something in the product space. I actually had a couple of different ideas, and basically the reason I went with this one is because I loved it. I've asked myself, can I get up and do this every day? Or I'm sure all of us start companies every morning and then they go out of business by the time I go to bed. Exactly. By 4 p.m. I'm like, nope, we're bankrupt. Not happening. Right. And this was just one of those things that I'm like, you know what? This has really been a part of my life for a little while. It never gets old, and it kind of would never go away. I mean, we're always, a lot of the questions are really evergreen, and you can have some pop culture stuff in there, but we're always going to be meeting new people. And it's, so I always look for that in a business, like sustainability. Is this something that's just going to be trendy? And if I don't hit the mark right now, will I have lost my opportunity? And then after that, once I kind of answered all those questions, it's a little bit of a leap of faith, and just sticking with it and staying at it every day.
So do you have partners on this?
Yeah. So for me, the biggest obstacle was I played this questions on my phone, but really figuring out the format. Was this going to be an app? Was this going to be a physical game? What would the actual gameplay be? And that's when, just again, and I'm a researcher at heart. Like I love information. I love to know things. So just after doing a lot of research, it seemed like the best way to get this to the most amount of people, the quickest, I don't know if I said that right at all, but was to do it in a physical game. And that was also seemed like it would be a little bit easier to monetize with less risk up front. So I talked to a few different people and I met with the guys that created What Do You Meme, which I know you said, I don't know if you've played that game.
I actually haven't played that one.
So it's basically, and that's a fascinating story in of itself. You should have those guys on here because they really took an interesting business model. So it's the guys behind the Fuck Jerry Instagram. And they, kind of similar to What's Up Moms, they had this platform. They had, I think, 10 million followers on Instagram, but early days. And they thought, how can we monetize this? And they also loved Cards Against Humanity. And that still is, an incredibly popular game. And so they basically made a meme version of that. So they took the memes that they were using on their Instagram site, turned it into a card game. It was a massive, massive success. I think it's the number 2 selling card game in America after Cards Against Humanity. And it's only like 3 years old. So they got it. They were fresh. It was, Do You Know Me was a little tricky unless we made it very, very family friendly to go to like a Hasbro or a Mattel.
Right. I can see that. But you could do versions of it.
100%. The expansion packs, and we're actually just finished our first expansion pack, which is really exciting.
What is it?
So I know you want it to be something exciting. The first expansion pack for most games, and this is something I've learned, is usually just an extension of the base game. If you look at Cards Against Humanity or some of the other bigger card games, that's what you do first, and then we'll get into more specific ones. So we have a family, kids and family one in the works, and then an After Dark, which is
right.
Very
well, it's almost like ratings. You have like the light pastel box is the kid-friendly one, and the black box is the one for, post 10 p.m.
And like I said, a lot of the questions in this game are family-friendly. So, certainly if you don't give it to your 9-year-old, you can go through the box because my kids actually love to play it. We're just, we make sure we
pull some cards.
Just keep those in there. And you can always make up your own. We also have some create your own question cards in there, some blank cards. So you can add in questions that are either personal for the group of people you're playing with or just current issues going on. That it's an interesting way to get people's opinion on issues without kind of getting controversial.
So this podcast is about creativity. You're a creative mind. What do you do when you hit a period where you're either working with someone or the creativity isn't coming? You're not inspired. Like, where do you find inspiration for your creativity?
It's so funny. I feel like that's a question that people ask a lot, and we'd always get asked that at What's Up Moms. Because I'm a creative, but I think of myself much more as a business person than a creative person. I feel like I surround myself with a lot of creative people. And so I guess I pull that from my friends. I mean, my kids are like the most creative people I know. Hang out with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and you don't get more creative than that. But I think sometimes for me, just with anything, if I'm having trouble making a decision, I'm the type of person that like I'm always in motion. I'm always doing something. And I think there's this myth that like you have to be moving or going to be making progress. For me, I tend to do the best sometimes just stepping away, shutting off, just like switching into a different gear. Sometimes you have to like step away from something, if that makes sense.
Completely.
And
it's
then
like hindsight.
Yes. And then you're like, oh, wait, I see that now. I went, we took our kids on a trip this summer for 9 or 10 days. And it was the first time, I turned off my phone. Like I really disconnected. It was so hard for me to do. And I can't tell you how productive I was when I came back. I just felt restored and ready. And so it sounds kind of cliche, but I think it is important to like take those breaks and just check in with yourself and just balance.
I agree with you. I would highly recommend doing that. I think this goes back to the idea of why all of us respond to playing a game. We want to ultimately connect. I mean, that's what we want to do. We have social media. We have so many different outlets. And I think that sometimes we sacrifice our creativity because our attention spans are so short and we start to focus on something and we shift away from that. I think that having a game and having people being connected through different outlets that aren't social media, sitting in a room, really really kind of bring people together. So
No, I agree.
I think
It's total. And when you're playing a game, just think, I love to play tennis. And for me, it's not even like the athleticism of it. I'm not great, but it's one of the only times where like my mind just shuts off. I have to, because I'm not very good, it takes all of my efforts to focus on, I need to be here. I need to hit the ball. And sometimes that's very like calming for some people at yoga or going on a hike. But when you're playing a game with other people, you have to be present and in the moment. So I think especially as moms, a lot of us are trying to always do 10 things at once. And for me, when I'm doing 10 things at once, I'm not doing any of them very well.
that's very true.
And
I think we all do that. Yeah.
So what, and then going back to the structure of the game in this business sense, which is obviously is a passion of yours, is to have it hit the shelves, which it has, by the way. It's at Target.
I know,
It's on
so
Amazon.
exciting.
It's on in barnesandnoble.com. So, and is there still physical Barnes and Noble stores?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's also in those stores. It's everywhere, in other words.
Yeah.
So you've got the game everywhere. What is the next step for you in terms of production, or is there an app in store?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, we just launched the game in June. It kind of hit shelves in July. It's been doing really, really well, especially in retail. And so the request for the expansion pack was definitely a good sign that they wanted more content. So we're working on that. And then
Stocking stuffers.
all of it. But yeah, we definitely are working on developing some other properties around the physical
But
game.
see, I'm interested actually when
Yeah.
so you called it content. You called these questions content,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. Just back in terms of what we're really discussing
Mm-hmm.
here, which is creativity and the inspired mind meeting business. So how do you come up with the questions? Is there a room? Is there a writer's room? Is it you and your
Katie.
husband? Who is it?
Talking to Katie offsides over here. So, I mean, yeah, in the beginning, I would say, well, I mean, in the beginning, my husband and I came up with all the questions. Occasionally we'd be out at dinner. People like, oh, you should add this question in. So as a collective, but when I went to the What Do You Meme guys, I probably had 500 or 600 questions in random lists on my phone. Yeah, not well organized, by the way. So that part has been a lot of it, just getting all of the content organized. They're obviously geniuses when it comes to, coming up with funny, viral type questions. Their brand is definitely a little more adult. So they wrote questions that were a little more risque. And it was interesting to see where we would land in the box. And I think that's part of what makes the game so fun. If you're not comfortable with those, you could skip them. But it's the interesting combination of the type of questions. Some of them are extremely personal, and some of them are
Did you guys play
really superficial.
in the meeting the first time?
Oh, yeah.
That must have been a great meeting.
Yeah. It was great. And they've been so supportive in seeing kind of where I'm coming from and my brand with What's Up Moms, and obviously a very family friendly brand, and kind of being in the adult card game category, which makes it sound way worse than it is, but just changing your audiences a little bit. But so the short answer to that is they write a lot of I write most of the content. They help where it makes sense. And then Katie, who's on my team, has been writing a lot of questions with me lately. Because you start to think, can I ever think of more questions? We just finished a 180 question expansion pack. So it's a lot of questions.
That is.
So do you see yourself staying in the gaming industry, like going on to even develop more games? Or you think there'll be like another
That's a good question. I mean, right
chapter
now,
3?
Funny that you ask. Right now, this is still very new and exciting, and I definitely think there's some other opportunities with this game and kind of the Do You Know Me brand. Again, it goes back to, I love people. I love connecting with people. I love hearing their stories. I mean, that was such a part of What's Up Moms was connecting with other moms and creating this content, and having a mom in Ohio say like, you saved my day. You know, I made slime with my kids this afternoon and they're so happy. There's just something so cool about that. You know, I grew up not in a digital age, and to me, that's such a benefit of technology.
Not feeling isolated. Wow, there's somebody else out there feeling exactly the way.
And just being able to solve, and it's kind of like, it's like crowdsourcing. You know, you're able to find things to do by seeing what other people are doing, and it's really cool. And so that was a big part of this game. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to create a game. It was more that
connectivity.
Yeah, it was connectivity, and this was a great tool to do that, and it just happened to be a game, which is something that I love playing. So yeah, I definitely see for the foreseeable future, you know, playing this out.
Well said.
No pun intended.
I did want to ask a pointed question, and you have talked a lot about it already, and it is interesting that we keep going back to connectivity, especially, I think that's part of your personality, by the way. You're so generous with your connections in life, and you know, I just want to throw that compliment out your way. You're really good at that. You do connect people. That is truly your, like, something in your heart.
That's like the best compliment you could give. Because I love that. It's like we, especially as women, and seeing all these powerful, I never necessarily thought of myself as a feminist, but I mean, I get so happy when I see my girlfriends just doing great stuff and having success. It just really, because we do wear a lot of hats, and to be able to go out there and do that, it's great, and it's a great example to set for our kids, and just for the future.
Hard. I mean, it's hard to do that. Yeah. But I think your question was going to be creativity, and
yes. Can I ask the question?
Ask it.
So it's this is Steve Jobs once said that creativity is just connecting things. So in terms of this game and this specific endeavor, what things do you connect?
Well, that's a really good question. I like that quote. For me, I think it was connecting something that I love and was passionate about, and connecting something that I'm good at. And I kind of actually sat down and did this as an exercise when I was figuring out, you know, what am I going to do? And it was like, okay, these are my resources. These are my strengths. These are the things I want to do. Like, what is something that's going to best utilize all that? I'm very big about efficiency. Like, I think I drive my family crazy sometimes, but I'm like, no, if we just like move that a little to the left, it's going to save us I'm just everything in my life. But so I really looked at that and was like, okay, I have this kind of this platform we built of What's Up Moms, and this network of moms that I've connected with, other people in my life, my husband, my family, something I'm passionate about, and what can I do? And so I had this game, and I was like, wow, this really checks every box. From a marketing perspective, it's like I have all these other great mom influencers that I know through What's Up Moms that I've supported and that I know will support me in something that I do. I have this game that people really like. You know, I have these connections. I had access, you know, through being an influencer. I find that such a funny word, but I guess I'll use it, you know, to get to like the what do you meme guys right away and have a meeting with them. So it was really just like taking everything you have and seeing what that adds up to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like self-editing. The fact that you were able to look at your own skill set and be like, what am I good at? That's a hard thing to do. And then to be able to connect the dots and go, well, I have this, bring it all together and create something of it is pretty remarkable. So
I'm curious what your other ideas were when you when you narrowed it down to Do You Know Me?
TBD. Well, one of them, without going into too many details, was a kids organic bedding line, but there was kind of a spin on it. And then and I went down that road a little bit. And sometimes, and I think that's, with starting any company is like knowing you can never be certain about anything, but being able to be flexible and nimble, and also know when something's not working. Because obviously I didn't know this game was going to work. Again, it was like, how do I take a list of 500 questions on my phone and make it into a physical game? It seems easy to explain when you see it now, but it wasn't like a process without its hurdles. The same thing for some of the other ideas that I tried. Just kind of trusting your gut. You know, there were walls that I hit, and it was either this was going to require a big financial investment that I wasn't ready to make, or this was going to require a time investment, you know, and it's just, you have to figure out what works in your life and just have no shame really just own it, be self-aware, and make the decisions.
Yes, I think that maybe that even leads to the next question of what advice would you give to someone who wants to start something new, has a couple of ideas or one very solid idea? What is the magic potion?
And can I add one thing to that? And then because you were such an innovator in the time of YouTube and now it's social media, how do they use and how do you see social media playing into businesses becoming successful?
Social media is obviously such a huge part of most businesses, especially product. And my best advice there is hire someone young to do it for you. I am not going to lie. I'm like, I can post pictures of my kids doing cute things and come up with a funny caption. But honestly, sometimes that takes as much brain power and work as like getting the entire card game to market. It's, if you're great at it and you love it, then it's an easy thing. If you're not, that's another thing I think really, knowing, kind of touching on what I said, but knowing what your strengths are and what they're not and surrounding yourself. I mean, no one does anything on their own. So it's like, I have so much support, from my team and family and my partners. So really just finding people that are excellent at the things that you're not excellent at. It's kind of like a formula. I feel like most things in life it's a little bit science.
So maybe one of the first things is get your team together.
Yeah. Just make sure you have a clear idea. I think being decisive, again, just really going for it. It sounds like a cliche, but just saying, I'm going to do this, kind of making your list, figuring out what your steps are, and then not being afraid to ask people for help. I feel like being an entrepreneur used to be not a rare thing, but 10 years ago, you didn't know a lot of people doing that. Now I feel like I was part of a great, my friend who's founded the company Lunya, little plug there. One of my best friends who's amazing, and I admire her so much. And we kind of started out on our journeys at the same time. And she has a huge company now, and she'll have other entrepreneurs come in and just work in her space for a day and meet each other. So really just like connecting with other people who are going through the same thing, who are having maybe the same issues, and hurdles. Having that person that can like understand, like it's like a mom group,
a community.
Exactly, having a community that can help you get through that and answer questions.
Yeah,
that's good advice. I like that one.
Do we think there's something bad about the fact that everyone can be an entrepreneur? Do we think that we don't sort of learn from our mistakes anymore and go work for someone that you can just throw
it's cool to drop out of
anything
school.
out there and see if it sticks? Because you can. Nowadays, you can just have an idea, launch it, and be like, does it work? Does it not work?
It's interesting. I think with anything in life, it's not, things just aren't black and white. They aren't
there's no rules.
good and bad. It's, in some ways it's going to be good when you find these people that wouldn't have had that opportunity before and like come up with something amazing. And then, yes, you're going to get oversaturation. But I think at the end of the day, it's kind of like the cream rises to the top. That was a big thing with Do You Know Me? I wanted it. It sounds corny, but I didn't want to just create a card game. To me, it really was the bigger message of connecting with people, and whether you're using it in team building at the office. You may work next to people every day and not know certain things about them. You may go to school with these parents every day and not know things. So it's really just like reminding us in this digital age when we're all so fast paced and on the go to stop, connect, and like have those human connections.
Right, because we connect via social media, but in a lot of ways it disconnects us, and this puts us back in the room.
I like
all
that.
together.
And maybe what you're also saying is that it's not just a product to you, and it's not just a business, that there is real meaning behind it. Maybe that's what helps the cream rise to the top, is having that, whatever that thing is, and getting clear in your head if you are going to start something that you want to turn from just little project in your kitchen to something real, is what is that really? What is this really about for you? And what will make you wake up every morning and feel good about doing it day in, day out? And I love what you just said about the game. And
I think authenticity is a big thing now because there is so much saturation. You can see it. You can see it a lot of times on Instagram. I hope that people could see that in our videos. Like, I think when something's really authentic to you and Not to steal a line from The Bachelor, but when you're doing it for another passion of mine that we haven't touched on, when you're doing it for the right reasons, like that's apparent to people and it matters. I think consumers care about authenticity.
I think there's a backlash right now against everything being such perfect little moments, little tiny pictures of moments that are not necessarily real. And so many people on Instagram have had success by sort of being like, hey, this is the fake one and this is the real one. And everyone loves it because we all feel like the one that's the fake one, but we pretend we're the, the other one. Yeah. So, I do think that that's part of it, and that the authenticity and the realness of it, if you can manage to find a way to get through the bullshit and connect, there it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the end goal, and I think.
I agree. Yep. There's so many hours in the day, and to me, like when I go to bed at night, I want to feel good about what I did, good about how I spent my time. Do you know what I mean? And like make meaningful relationships.
Well, I think you're helping everybody out with this. So. Yeah. Thanks for that.
We all know one of Alison's deepest secrets. How long ago? I need to know
certainly
how
feel-
long ago was it?
Robyn's
Were you in your 20s? Was
Wait,
it last
are we going to do
week?
your round now?
No.
I know, it's very fun to hear other people.
Like, wait a second,
dirty laundry.
The next podcast,
Yeah.
we're going to start with you and the guest.
Well, it's funny watching how we watched a bunch of dads at school. The Uber question came up at like a school dinner. And I mean, these are very like buttoned up business suit dads. And then they all made each other get out their phones to see their Uber rating. And it was like one of the dad's ratings was not great. And they just,
Laid it
You're
down.
shamed. I mean,
it was
you're
shamed, but
But funny, right?
It was very funny, and it just changed. I mean, everything felt so lighthearted after that. I mean, they gave the poor guy such a hard time, and
It's probably like a joke now that every time they say like,
but now it's a funny thing. I think he had his teenagers maybe using the Uber, but yeah, it's a good way to create lighthearted moments, with people that you know or don't know that well.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you guys for having
Thank you so
me.
much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the game for my kindergarten mom's party in 2 weeks, where no one knows anything about each other. And I think instead of playing celebrity, where you get the name.
Yeah,
and
I love
It's
Celebrity.
my new version. It's like, okay, we're all gonna sit in a circle and we're gonna play this game. So thank you for that.
Oh, I love it! I can't wait to hear how it goes.
Thank you so much for coming. We were so happy to have you here. So if I want to buy Do You Know Me, where can I find you? Where do I buy the game?
So we're on Amazon, and we're in stores at Target, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble. And then our Instagram is @DoYouKnowMe, and I'm @Brooke Mahan.
Great. Thank you so much, Brooke.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. This is fun.
And you can tune in to us next week, where we're going to interview another friend for Creativity Deconstructed.
An artist, entrepreneur, or disruptor.
No, not
for
just a
them.
friend. I'm sorry. You're right.